I am running behind, and this is why I don't like podcasting on Mondays. It's too much. It's literally too much. Podcasting on Mondays just makes me stress out. I have so much admin to get done, and everybody's blowing my phone up on Mondays. Work is blowing my phone up on Mondays. I'm like, I got meetings on Mondays. I don't like podcasting on Mondays. It messes up my hosties and everything. It's so frustrating. We're taking a sip of tea. We should also put some lip balm gloss on. Also for me, it's like a day I go cycling, so I don't like to wear makeup. And I'm not going cycling where I normally go cycling today because last time I went and that instructor wasn't there, the music was whack. It gave me anxiety. I was like, what's the point of me being here? And I feel the same way now. So instead, I booked somewhere else. I was like, okay, if this is what we're doing, I'm going to book somewhere else. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, all right, I'm not doing this today. And so now I have cycle at 5:15 instead of having cycle at 7:30. My whole schedule, my whole life, my whole thing is just thrown off. So if I seem off, that's why. But in good news, it's hot outside. And by the way, hot Michigan means like it's 60. Oh, actually, it's hot. It's 68. Like we are winning. And you're just like, oh, great. That means that, everything's back to normal. No, that means that in 2 days we'll be at 50 again. This is Michigan. Our weather is just not consistent. And you just learn to love it. You just learn to live, love, and exist in the craziness that is Michigan. But you know what? We're going to skip that and we are going to get right into it. Quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it cost everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. Hey, Unbothered fam, and welcome back to another episode of Basically Unbothered Recaps, where we're tackling a lot today. This is going to be double, a double recapped week. Not only a double recapped week, you are getting a double Love is Blind week. I am going to go over the Love is Blind finale today, and then the Love is Blind reunion drops when you guys will hear this episode, and then I will cover the reunion on Friday. It's going to be so much, but it's all in anticipation. We have amazing guests coming back to Basically Unbothered OG. So next week we're going to have Xavier and we're going to get right back into those guests. I have so many amazing people that I can't wait for you guys to get to hear, and everything's falling into place. January and February is just kind of so hard to manage sometimes because nobody wants to go outside. Nobody wants to do anything. And that is totally okay. Fine. But we're going to be ramping up soon. And also, we are getting ready to do, let's see, we have next week, we're going to do the Secret Life of Mormon Wives is going to drop. But I dropped some Wednesday. I think we're going to have maybe something in between that. I'm not sure. We'll see, depending on what I'm covering. And then also we will have the Bachelorette coming right on the tail of that. So I'm very excited. I got a lot of shows to watch, and I did get some, just fun watching for myself done this weekend. I watched the Idaho 4 documentary. I really enjoyed the documentary. I did read the book that was partly written with James Patterson, which was fantastic. That book went through so many steps and measures to make sure that you got the full story. I highly recommend that book to anybody. It covers so much more than I think a lot of books normally would. So you get information about Brian Kohlberger, and it follows this story. It really truly still tells a story about all of these people who are involved in this terrible, terrible incident about their lives. And it was written in a really beautiful way that honors the family, but also honors kind of the process. You get a lot of behind the scenes. They spent a lot of time developing this book, and the book actually gives you more information than the Idaho for documentary that is on, I think it was Amazon Prime, but I still enjoyed watching it. It's still such a sad thing to see. I enjoy watching it because when you read the books, you only get, like the audio. I audio booked it. You only get the audio or the visual of the pages. You don't really get to continuously look at the people and the victims and the people in their lives. So it was nice to be able to put like faces to names. Um, you with the documentary, you get more information from Ethan's family, and you get to hear more about need to pull up all her names so I don't mess it up. You get more information about Madison, and you really don't see Gonsalves's family, which is interesting because when I read the book, there was a lot about how they were doing a whole bunch of press and it was kind of interfering with the investigation. And this documentary, they aren't in it for some reason. But I did love being able to see and hear more. I think they told a full story in this documentary. There's things that they missed, obviously, but they spent more time on the family. I do wish, and maybe it's just because the documentary came out before the trial date started, so there wasn't a lot of what the motive was, what the reasoning might have been behind it. I wish that people could have gotten that more in the documentary. But I really, really loved it. In comparison, I just watched also the new documentary that came out on Hulu that I was telling you guys about, which is Friends Like These. That documentary was terrible. I mean, what happened to what was her name? Skylar was tragic and scary and just weird and pointless, honestly. And I don't feel like they spent enough time really going into that or the motives or anything. They wasted 3 episodes of nothing. And then it went from, it bounced back not linearly. So it was really confusing. And it bounced back to like happy music and then all bright lights, which was saturated to me light wise. It was just way too bright. And then it went to what was going on with the family. And there wasn't enough information to me to even really go through with this documentary, especially since that happened in 2014. And it just felt really, I don't want to say the word exploitive, but I can't think of another way to describe a documentary that didn't really seem to care much about the facts. And I went in for a 3 episode series when it felt like it really could just been like a 2 hour thing and ended. It really didn't need that much time. It was nice to hear from all of the friends that were involved with all 3 of them. That was really interesting. But you're just left with more questions. You're just left with more wanting to know more. And you just don't. Like when they spend a lot of time giving you backstory and backstory. And when they finally give you the information about what happened when she was murdered, you don't really get a lot of information. Um, and maybe they're trying to protect the fact that it was gruesome, but what happened to her is what happened to her. And you should tell the story of what happened to her. Especially seeing that the cases are over, it's done, the information's out there. Why not give us all of this information? It just seemed a little weird. It seemed a little like, why are we doing this now? And I was very excited because, as you know, I love true crime. I love true crime. But honestly, you could miss this one. It wasn't giving. It's not giving you what you want. I promise you. You could 100% miss this and be okay. But those are kind of the things that I watched recently. I did finish the live cast version of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I will not take any Harry Potter hate here. I'm not saying that I stand with J.K. Rowling or that I align with J.K. Rowling. Absolutely not. I am saying I will take no Harry Potter hate on this page. Harry Potter is such a beautiful story about acceptance and diversity and so many other things. And I'm going to continue to read it because I read it as a child before any of this happened. I'm 34 years old. So what other people choose to do with their time, whether they want to, I've always said that you can't unread something or you can't unlisten to something or you can't unwatch something. It's up to you to make the decision if you want to stop reading or listening or whatever. But some people really just love the stories for what they are. And some people have a very strong childhood link to some of these things. And that you can't break that. I have the first big series I ever read was the Harry Potter series. That is going to stay with me forever. And there are studies that show people who read Harry Potter are actually more tolerant, more accepting, have more emotional IQs, are more DI focused. There's a lot of studies that show that. And even churches, unity-based principle churches, there are lesson plans wrote based on Harry Potter. So I'm gonna keep Harry Potter to me. The full cast version I love. It's if you're ever a person who's driving and when you're driving a long drive, you also put like a TV show on so you can listen to the TV show that you've watched a gazillion times. You will love this. It's like listening to a TV show or listening to a movie that you don't need to see. And you get the best thing about this is you don't get the parts where the movie has to cut it out to make it more palatable or, change things to keep the storyline going or because they only have to be in a 2-hour window. All of those things, you really truly get the full story. And that is something that I appreciated. And I want to be clear when I say the Philosopher's Stone and not Sorcerer's Stone, because a lot of people don't know that there's a different version. There is an British version and then there's an American version. And those are different. Obviously, they're both in English, but the way that they talk about things, the way things are phrased, when they translated it back to American audiences, they changed some of the things so that it would make sense to American audiences. And so when you listen to it, you might be like, why are they saying this instead of this? And that's why you're getting it where it's translated or where it's original text in the British version. That being said, still gave it a 5 out of 5. I am enjoying it. I just got the Chamber of Secrets, so I cannot wait to keep going down this journey. And I love having them now because they are comfort. It's a comfort book for me. And I didn't really think about like one of my coworkers says, oh yeah, I listened to all the Harry Potters. And I was like, whatever, sure, okay. But it really truly is a big comfort show, movie, book, whatever you want to call it. And I very much enjoyed listening to it. And I can't wait to go through the whole series and have it there for me whenever I just need to listen or feel good. It's going to be right there for me. But now we are going to get into the show of the week, the literal week, because we're getting back to back episodes of this. Indie authors are out here building worlds, breaking rules, and telling stories you won't find on the bestsellers list. And not only can indie authors do it just as good as published authors, but they can often do it better. On Indie Ink Podcast, we interview indie authors every month about their books, their process, and what keeps them going when no one's watching.
One of the best pieces of advice I received, once you start getting negative reviews, it means that your book is reaching outside of your target audience. And when she said that, I thought that was such a wonderful way to look at it.
Jean-Paul Sartre, he's French, with No Exit says that hell is other people. Like, to be in hell is to be like with other people. The thesis of this book, or like what I thought about when I thought about like what would be like the ultimate hell for me personally.
If you love stories behind the stories, this podcast is for you. Check out Indie Ink Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, Unbothered fam,
let's talk taxes for a second, because I am very particular about one thing. I like to get my taxes done early and out of the way so I can be stress-free for the rest of the year. No last-minute panic, no scrambling, no vibes being ruined. That's why I want to put my unbothered fans onto SSB Legacy Tax Services, LLC. Samantha is a small business tax professional whose whole focus is getting you the maximum refund while making the process clear and easy. She also offers cash advances up to $7,500, $75 referral bonuses, and actually takes the time to educate you so you know what's happening with your money. And because we are all unbothered together, I'm going to give you an in. If you text unbothered to 586-345-1055, you will receive $50 off your tax prep fees. Early, easy, stress-free, just how we like it.
I just realized that I told you guys earlier that The Secret Life of Mormon Wives comes out next week, and it definitely comes out this week. So I'm going to be busy. But this week, we are finishing up our Love is Blind Ohio series. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I can't wait for the reunion, but I just cannot wait to be done with this show. There's so much chaos. There's so much drama. There's so much. And the ending was just, it was shocking. It was shocking in some ways, and it wasn't in other ways. It was also giving season 2. I don't remember what city season 2 was, but it was also kind of giving season 2. And I love that for us. But we're going to get into the final dates. Honestly, final dates are always so boring to me because they're usually, not always, but they're usually them just trying to sell us a dream. Oh, they're so in love. Look at them doing this romantic thing together. In reality, that's not usually the case, but this is what we got. So these are the last moments that the couples have to decide if they're going to be married. A lot of it just felt false, but Vic and Christine, they go on a massage date. It's so cute and they're so genuine together and they feel so natural with each other. And they are the only couple I know is going to say I do when it comes down to getting to that altar. They're the only one that I 100% know is going to say I do. Devonta and Brittany, I'm just not convinced that Devonta is ready for marriage. From this part, we don't talk about when they say I do, but like from this point, he just really feels weird. They were like in a jacuzzi together. It was really cute. And then he goes in, and while they're supposed to be having this romantic night together, he has this huge red flag moment where he's like, yeah, okay, so we're going to need a prenup. What? This is like days before they're getting married, or maybe a week, but it feels like days. We're going to need a prenup. And he tells Brittany last minute. And the timing just feels so off. Like, why are we telling her last minute? Why wasn't this a conversation that you had in the beginning? Some people believe in prenups. Some people don't believe in prenups. And a prenup feels like, I'm going to tell you this. We're going to side. I had a boyfriend and he used to lie and cheat on me all the freaking time. He referred to him as lying, cheating ex. And he would always tell me, we just got to make it to the altar. You just got to make it till we're getting married. And once we get married, everything will be okay because I'll know that I'll be able to trust you, yada, 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 all these things. And I was so confused because why can't you trust me in the relationship now? And he's like, well, you can't back out of it. You can't get out of it so easily when you're married, all of these things. That's the way that Devonta feels. He feels like he's using his prenup to protect himself from what no one fucking knows, but to protect himself in this relationship. Because I just think that one, he's not ready to get married, and two, he's just not ready to be in a long-term relationship. And it's so sad to see these girls have to go through this because that's not fair, you know? And they were saying things like, you could tell Brittany's really into it. Devonta wanted to get out because he was promising her this isn't, us saying that we're not this isn't us saying that I don't want to marry you. This is just me saying that, I really believe in this. And Brittany is saying, well, I actually don't believe in prenups. I don't believe in them. I disagree with Brittany. I 100% believe in prenups. And not in the sense that I think of it as we're planning for failure, in the sense that I think of it as truth is that as much as we want things to be permanent, nothing is permanent ever. And because of that, I think that taking precautions, because nothing is permanent, we change as people, we all change as adults, is really important to like have something that says, okay, well, these are the protections that I have for you. And it also saves, if you end up going through a divorce, it also allows you guys to be friends more because there's a document put in place. And obviously you can change a prenup, you can fix a prenup. Both parties still have to sign it, but there's a document in place so that the actual divorce process goes a lot smoother. And then hopefully you guys can remain friends if something doesn't work out. But I also respect the fact that, she isn't ready. That's not something that she believes in. And it's so weird because, last part B, you were telling her father how, you're committed and you want to be with her. And he was like, when you get married, you get married for life. You don't divorce, none of these things. And you just Devonta just keeps pushing back. And it feels like it's just another way for him to create tension in the relationship instead of preparing for marriage, instead of getting ready to do these things. You see Brittany making so many concessions with her feelings and what she wants. Her love language is physical touch and words of affirmation. And you see, Devonta really not making those changes. And it just feels like he doesn't really want to be in it. And he just keeps trying to like talk himself out of it. What's away? This, I just don't think people are going to get whatever. I don't think he's ready to be happy. Truthfully, honestly, I think he wants to be a hoe and he wants to keep dating these girls that aren't, really good for him. And maybe he has a type and he wants this physical connection, but he's not ready to be married. And that's very clear, even with the conversation of a prenup, because if you're ready to be married, this would have been a conversation that you would have had in the beginning, not a conversation that you're springing on your romantic, like, date. Okay. All right. Mike and Emma, they went to the zoo. I want to go to the zoo. The fact that this happened, someone take me to this because it's such a cute idea for the date. And I love the whole giraffe things. I just want to go play around with giraffes. It was super cute. But then once again, here we go. An elephant in the room is still kids. And it's so frustrating because you proposed to her knowing that she was iffy about kids, thinking that you can change her mind about kids. And it's the common thread throughout this whole thing is kids, 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 kids. And I said, I have a feeling that Mike is going to say no at the altar because the kids conversation has been looming all season. And although you can tell that Emma has made strides and she says things like, I really can see a vision of our family and a vision of this together, it's just not good enough for him. Connor and Bree, their relationship, they actually work really well together. Connor is really sweet and extremely patient, especially loving Bree through her hardest moments. Their date was like on, what is the word I'm looking for? Like a train. And it was really beautiful. And it was sad because I don't agree with Bree, how she does things, how she handles things, but I like honesty. One of the things that she did admit was, I'm not my best self. This is not me living in my best self. And I'm so sorry that you have to see this and you have to experience this, but this is not me living in my best self. And that was probably like hard to admit. She's like, even my family is like, this is not the best version of you. You are going through something. And she doesn't talk about what she's going through, but she talks about, how this is a hard chapter in her life. But it was really sweet. They gave really positive things that they liked about each other throughout the time, but it was still feeling a little off. And then we get to after that and they're sitting and they're having a conversation and the conversation goes positive at first. Once again, she's apologizing. But then it takes a weird turn. She starts making a conversation about his appearance, and that moment started to get confusing, and she just like switched it. I'm so appreciative of you. I love you. You matter to me so much. Never have I had someone who loved me like this. And then she just starts going in. And I do think that this is a product of editing a little bit, honestly, truly, because it feels like with all of Bree's conversations, it feels like there's this middle point that we're missing, specifically how Connor responds to it. You would think that if she was just like out of nowhere, yar, 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 you would be like, what the fuck? But that's not really how he responds. Kudos to him. Connor is a saint. Connor's a saint. I don't like how Bree brought this up. I don't like how she mentioned that he's not a normal type, commenting about his appearance, commenting about how she usually goes for dominant men, all of that thing. It was confusing. And even though she admits that, she was wrong, the truth comes out that she's just not ready to walk down the aisle. And honestly, I feel so sad for Connor. Connor's the sweetest, kindest, most supportive man. And he talks about it, most times in my relationship, I usually would have done this, but this time I'm not doing this because I really want a successful relationship. And it's sad to see him really want a successful relationship. And he gets into this relationship and he's doing all that he can. And for whatever reason, Bree just can't get there. And I don't know if it's her personality. It feels different than with Devonta. With Devonta, it feels like he's just doing it for shits and giggles or for the sake of it. And with Bree, it really feels like she has something else going on that does not excuse her behavior. I do not appreciate her behavior. I do appreciate their honesty. But I don't feel like she's ready to be loved yet. Same thing with, well, not different than Devonta, because I feel like Devonta wants to be loved, but he doesn't want to give love. And I feel like Bree just isn't ready to be loved yet. And I don't really know why that is, little Bree mama. Like, I have no idea why you don't feel comfortable accepting love, but you have to be careful because when you do those things and someone's gonna be like, oh, you're so nice to the women and not the men. Yes, because I'm a woman. Thank you very much. Fuck off. But when you do these things, when you get in a relationship, you have to make sure that you are in your best place. But you also have to make sure that you are ready to be loved and you're ready to accept relationships. And if you are not, as much as you don't want to be alone, as much as you crave for that comfort and that love and that care from another person, and you want to start your life with someone else, you just shouldn't go down that path. Because when you go down that path, you end up hurting yourself. And more importantly, you end up hurting someone else who didn't deserve that hurt. And that's just kind of how I feel about this Bree situation. Connor doesn't deserve this hurt. Connor is such a good man. I mean, obviously, I don't know what's going on in the background, but on screen, he's such a good man. He's so understanding. And I don't know what it is about Bree that she can't accept that. We also don't know what's going on in Bree and her other life, but I don't know what it feels like she's fighting the love. Like, truly, honestly, it feels like she's fighting the love, and that is really sad. Chris and Jessica, they were mentioned, but whatever. Jordan and Amber, they go to this cool interactive game. The energy between them feels really fun and relaxed. They talk about finally getting to meet her daughter. And they just feel like one of the more lighthearted couples heading into that stretch. Alex and Ashley, they did this romantic cabin trip. And on paper, it should be romantic, but both of them feel so disconnected and like they're just going through the throes of it at this point that it's like, why are we here? What the fuck is the point? It's crazy. They both feel reserved. They don't seem all in, either of them. Once again, Alex starts talking in circles, never answering her questions, wanting validation but not giving validation back. It's just a lot. That's it. That's like I said, the final dates really aren't my favorite. There's been chaos that's happened in the final dates, but for the most part, they just feel fake. for the most part. They just feel like people just trying to pretend and convince you that they love each other when they really, really, truly do not. But then we get to the bachelor and bachelorette parties. The feather activity was really weird. And this is just like the EEOC person in me, the person that's I can do this too. I wish that it wasn't so like girly for the girls and manly for the guys, because the girls are doing this weird feather activity and it was just really strange. And the guys are at a gaming party, and I'm like, I would not want to be at this feather party thing. I would definitely want to be at this gaming party. Why can't we do something fun like that? And I don't know if they vote and everybody kind of decides and they were like, oh, this is, but it was just weird. Um, and then we get more Alex drama. Alex tells this wild story about how, he can really see himself with Ashley, and he can see them having a place in Florida and something here and a safe house in Dubai. And I'm like, what? Who do you think you are, James Bond? Like, what is this man is absurd. This man is absurd. Safe house in Dubai. He just sounds like a complete con man. Like he was on his show just to get his name and face out there because he thought that he could say something. And I say this with high authority because apparently one of the soccer players that he said that he didn't like, that he met or whatever, has come out and publicly called him out in a nice way possible. He's like, if you apologize, I won't say what I have on you. But if you don't apologize, I'm saying everything I have on you. And I was just like, yo, imagine that you're trying to say that you're this all-star soccer player and then an all-star soccer player calls you out. That has to hurt. There's been on social media, there's been nothing good coming from anyone talking about Alex, from talking about how Alex stories never aligned. There's people talking, saying they used to work with Alex and how he got fired and he didn't really do anything. Nothing good from Alex comes out. Even people decoding, his day trading thing and all that. They're just like, this man is a con man. And out of all the Bachelor, Bachelorette things, I didn't really care about it, but the Alex thing was just too much. Then we get to the dun 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 wedding day. And the first wedding day happens in the second to last episode and then continues into the last episode. So if everybody's wondering why I didn't cover that before, it was simply because I wanted to cover this all in completion. Like I don't want to stop in. Some people will, some people like those cliffhangers. That's not me. I want to give you the complete story for the most part. I've been working really hard to end it where the ends feel like and not end it where Netflix feels is like, because they're just trying to amp us up and trying to get us more hyped for this. That's not my vibe. But we get into the wedding day and it's Emma and Mike first. And the entire time Mike looks miserable, and even his parents are like planting these seeds of doubt again. I'm not sure if you should do this. Think about the kids, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Emma's so sweet. She meets his mom. Her dress is beautiful. She's just crying. She's so excited. And then we get to the altar. And this is where the trouble happens. First of all, I hate the part when Netflix shows these people and they have to pretend and make you convinced that they're going to say yes at the altar when they know they're not. Like, don't interview about how she's so good and you can't wait to marry her and blah, 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 blah. And then 5 seconds later, say no. That's just crazy to me. Please don't ever, please, 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 please don't ever do that. But they do all the time here. And it's so weird when they get up there and they're asking to say all these questions and these nice things about each other. And your boy Mike, this is like, you can handle something with tact and care. Your boy Mike just at the altar in front of everybody directly asks, are you ready to start a family? Which is diabolical in its timing. What at the altar, when it's just kind of supposed to be about you and her. Like, you mean to tell me you couldn't have texted her this yesterday? You mean to tell me that there was no other time to ask this final question before you were at the altar? to ask it until you're at the altar. And it was, she didn't really answer, but she also says, I'm moving in that direction. I can see a family with you. I can see this life with you. I want to build all of this with you. So to me, that was like, I can't give you a definite 100% yes, but I'm seeing this future with you and I want to build on this future with you. And I know that this future has kids. I just need you to give me time to want kids. And it's so frustrating pushing a woman to have kids when they're not ready to have kids is just asking to create bad moms. And women are getting so much slack about how they raise people and how they treat people. But no one's looking at like the behind the scenes of this. And the behind the scenes of this is pushing women to have these conversations before they're ready, is just setting up to have bad moms and setting up children to not have the love and care that they should have. And it's frustrating. Emma says yes. Mike says no. And that is exactly what I expected to happen because Mike just couldn't get past the fact that she wasn't 100% sure. And the frustrating thing about that was that then you knew that she wasn't positive. You give her this timeline of you have to be 100% sure within 24 days or whatever the time, 6 weeks, something like that. Less than that. I can't remember what the stupid timeline is, but it's not a couple of months. That's not 6 months. In the amount of time to finish this, you want her to have this decision and totally change her views. And that's not fair. And that's not fair. He says, I still want us to be together, but my heart breaks for Emma. And he says he wants someone who's 100% sure, but the entire time he knew that she wasn't, and he still went through this. And I'm not saying that Mike is a problem. I'm saying that the way that he handled it was a problem. And him putting himself in a situation like this and putting Emma in a situation like this wasn't okay. If you knew she was already on the fence about having kids, you're the one that proposed. You're the one that went into this knowing what her feelings is. Yes, she knew what your feelings were, but you said that you were willing to wait and be patient and work it out with her. And you didn't do any of that. So Jordan and Amber's, they talk about how he met her kid and it went fine. But he just seems so unsure. I don't love Amber's dress, but the moment that she had with her daughter was adorable. But the whole thing was Jordan was freaking out about the ceremony. You could tell his family is just, I love that they're protecting the men's mental health and the family's trying to check on them. But at a certain point, it just feels weird to me. But once he did get to the aisle, he definitely looked more confident. He looked like, okay, like maybe he was nervous about the beforehand, but he was okay once he got there. And we get to the end and Amber says, I do. And she says, I understand if you have doubts and if you're not ready for this, that is okay. And then Jordan says, I do. And I was really happy for them until I went on TikTok. And on TikTok, the rumor is that they both were apparently supposed to say no. And then Amber said yes. And then Jordan said yes to make himself look better. But their relationship was really toxic and it was never shown on TikTok. And there's so much drama. So I'm excited to see what comes out of the Love is Blind reunion. I've heard that a lot of things have been leaked. I've chosen not to follow those leaked things and just kind of exist in this, but I have heard that a lot of things have been leaked and we'll see. Next is Brittany and Devonta, who didn't make it to the altar as well. So now we have 3 couples. There were 7 couples total. We have 3 couples that didn't make it to the altar. And they're sitting down and they're having a conversation and it's Devonta. Like, it's Devonta. No one's shocked. I actually expected him to leave sooner. He just wasn't ready. And again, I don't know if it was his grandfather passing away. I do know, mentioning my relationship that I mentioned before, that when his father passed away, our relationship changed. And I have the most amount of empathy for him because we were teenagers when it happened. And I truly, honestly can't imagine how to deal with that, how to navigate that, and how to love somebody after that, you know? I think that must be really hard. And it feels like maybe this is kind of part of what's going on with Devonta. He says that when he's going through stuff, he kind of just pushes everybody away and keeps quiet. But those are the things, again, I just don't think that he was ready for a relationship. And he could have leaned on this person to help him get through this. And he just didn't have the trust and the faith in her to get him through. And I, I don't think he was ready for this experiment. I don't think that he really truly knew how to build trust, or he has a hard time trusting. And maybe that's because of certain things that have happened in his past, but it was difficult. But one of the things that he did bring up was that it perturbed him, it disturbed him, it upset him that Brittany bought a wedding dress before she met him. And he feels like that's just creating problems. And boy, do you not understand look, y'all better start teaching these men about manifesting, because that's exactly what Brittany did. Brittany manifested herself a husband. She said, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to buy the dress, because buying the dress is me putting that manifestation out there. This dress is a physical representation of what I want. And some people may feel like, oh, you know, you don't know until you're in that relationship. And some people don't. I don't. I have my wedding song picked out. And I had a friend and she was like, you know, well, you're supposed to pick your wedding songs out together. And I was like, whoever loves me will know. They will already know, and they will accept me for who I am. And we could pick another song for all of them, but they will know me. They will know that I've probably had this song picked out. I don't have a lot of things for my wedding or my commitment ceremony picked out, and I don't care about most things, but this I do care about, and they will just love me for it. So I don't understand why this was such a big deal for him. And it's really hard to see, because I talked about this earlier. Brittany loves him so much and he doesn't. And when he ends this, you can tell he's going to walk away, even though he tells Brittany that he's not. And you can tell that Brittany wants to stay. And that's just, it's really hard. And I think that there are also lingering feelings that she isn't white. You know, I told you that I think that this was going to continue to come up in the situations that we had with him. And I think that it is. I think that one of the things is that she isn't white. She isn't the type he normally goes for. And he just can't get over that. He can't get past it. I don't know why, but he can't. And I think at the end of the day, that is causing so many problems between them. And what can you do when a man doesn't want it? It's upsetting. It's hard. My heart breaks for Brittany too. To bring him home to her family, for her family to say how much she's been through with men, for her to manifest and have so much hope that she bought her own dress. And then to get this, you know, it's kind of like Connor. You know, he had so much hope and he put so much effort in it. And then to not make it to the end, it's really sad. Christine and Vic, we finally get to meet Vic's family. Christine gives this letter to Vic's mom, which is really beautiful. It was an emotional moment getting to meet them. His sister officiates the wedding and they both say I do, and no one is surprised. There's no surprises, and there's just beautiful love. That's how they ended it. But I wanted to bring that up first before we get to this last part, which is Alex and Ashley. I'm surprised they made it to the altar, but I'm not surprised because I think Ashley wanted her moment. And y'all may say whatever y'all want to say about that, but she deserved it. After being lied to by this man constantly, she deserved her moment to really be like, fuck you and fuck off in front of his entire family. And that's exactly what she did. But before that, it was she's all dressed up and beautiful and he's just playing games with it. Like, that was the first point. Like, he was just so not fucking serious in this situation. He was in the same hoodie he's been wearing all season. He, you know, was just sitting around not giving a fuck. And I think that it was said that he had already told her that he was going to say no at the altar. And that's what makes this whole thing a little bit more interesting. But it was just, it was sad because, Ashley went through it. And it feels like he came on the show to find a woman to support him financially because from what I can gather, Ashley has a good job and from her home and everything like that. But he also keeps mentioning that he's not her type and he keeps telling her that she's not his. And that's like, dude, move the fuck on. You didn't come on, Love is Blind to find your type. And if you said something along the lines of, you're not my type, but I'm so happy you're not my type because this is exactly what I need, that would be different. But to come on and be like, you're not my type, you're not my type, you're not my type, and not spend any significant effort putting a positive behind that is just, you're like just trying to break this woman down. And why do you get a strong, beautiful, successful woman who wants to love you and the immediate thing that you want to do is bring her down? Why is that the thing that you want to do instead of just loving on her and appreciating her? And she probably could have funded your dreams for a really long time. Why is your immediate thing, because you feel insecure about where you are in your life and who you are as a person and what you have to offer in this, you bring her down. And I love it when she said, well, he's not my type too, but you don't see me saying it all the time. Big facts, exactly. I didn't like Brie mentioning that Connor wasn't her type. I didn't like Alex mentioning that Ashley wasn't his type. And I fucking could not stand when Chris mentioned it. But she sees through it and she says she knows that he isn't choosing her. They get up to the altar and, the best part of this best part of this whole thing. They get to the altar. Right. And she gets on and she says, the officiant gets on and they say, Alex, they go first with Alex. Do you want to take? And here's the part where I hate more. Why are we, after asking them to say all these beautiful things about each other, then saying, if we like, no, just tell me, is it going to be yours? I don't want to sit there. I don't want to sit there and have you tell me all the amazing things that you love about me and then say no. Just say no. And so the officiant asks, and before he can answer, Ashley goes, you know what? I already know what your answer is going to be. I already know you're going to say no. And I want you to know that I don't choose you either. Yes. It was giving, like, this is the part that was giving season 2 is Love is Blind. Yes. Don't choose him either. Don't settle. And she didn't put her foot on the brake. She stayed on the gas. She clocked him about the entire situation. She clocked him about lying. She clocked him about how he's making money. She clocked him about how he treated her. And she says, I don't deserve this treatment. No, I deserve someone who's going to love me for me. I deserve someone who's going to be there for me. I don't deserve what you are giving to me. I don't deserve this energy that you are giving to me. And I reject this. I am rejecting your deflection. And meanwhile, Alex is just saying nothing. And that's the part that's the most powerful to me and the most meaningful, is that he is just saying nothing. He just accepts it. He doesn't try to defend himself. He literally just says nothing. And I'm like, you could try to say, I do care about you. Nothing, which means that this entire time you didn't care. Even when she leaves with her family and everybody, by the way, besides his mom, is like, yes, they're cheering her on. They're egging her on. They knew. Here go his mom. She called him a liar in front of everybody. Oh, sweetheart, ma'am, Mama Alex, do you know what's going to happen when everybody, i.e. exactly what's happening right now, hears Alex? We didn't need Ashley to call him a liar in front of everybody. We all saw that he was a liar. You worried about at the wedding? You should be worried about how he looked the entire show. Because he didn't look good. That man looked terrible this entire show. And you're worried about what she said at this wedding? You should have been worried about what he was doing the whole entire time. Don't get mad at somebody calling out your son for being your son. You know who your son is. Parents know who their children are. They just choose to ignore it. You know who your son is. 100% knew who your son was. You just chose not to follow along. So I don't feel sorry for you. You made your choices and that is that. my favorite moment out of all of this, though, is when she says, saying no to you is a win. Yes. Yes, it was. Saying no to you is a win. And I love the TikTok videos calling Alex out and how well Ashley handled the situation. She is so strong. So many people on TikTok, like I said, so many people on TikTok are just calling Alex out. You lied. You lied about your girlfriend. You lied about your job. You lied to her family. You talked in circles. And what you're mad about is that you, as a con man, thought that you could con her. And you're mad that it didn't work. And you thought you were going to have this big, beautiful moment on TV and she stole that from you. And that's what he's upset about. Because he said that, it was a big power move. It was. It was. She makes more money than you. She's the man in the relationship. It was a big power move. Suck it up. I'm so excited to see what happens on this reunion. I'm so excited to see what these people are going to do, what they're going to say, and the drama behind it. I cannot wait. But to finish this off, the final couples that get married, that say I do at the altar, out of the 7 couples that we have. So we're talking about Vic and Christine, Devonta and Brittany, Mike and Emma, Connor and Bree, Chris and Jessica, Jordan and Amber, Alex and Ashley. Out of all of them, the 2 people that say I do at the end of the day are Jordan and Amber. And it's suspect because we don't even know if Jordan and Amber meant it. So it's just Christine and Vic. Whatever. At the end of the day, it is what it is. We're going to figure out what's happening on the next episode of Basically Unbothered Recap when I get to finally watch the reunion. So I'm not leaving you on a cliffhanger-ish, but it's an open-ended situation. And I will be there watching it as soon as it drops-ish to cover it with you guys. Cannot wait. Popcorn. I wish I could do a watching party, but I don't think it's going to be able to happen. But if I do, you guys know where to find me on my social medias. And till then, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Pure Tifa Podcast.